Hey, it's Saleena, and I'm here with TV personality and Jackass star Steve-O. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I am great. So how was your flight coming into Pittsburgh?
It was cool. You know, I flew overnight last night. I didn't really sleep, but I was watching TV on the airplane.
Well, that's good. That's fine. But how do you feel being at Slippery Rock University?
I love doing shows at universities. I absolutely love it.
That's fine.
You know, like I find that the biggest nightmare doing comedy is like disruptive audience members, and you know, like sometimes I just don't have that problem at universities. I find that college students are you know, like I think they're afraid of if they scream something out, maybe like they don't want to be like embarrassed. I think they're more like not that I always hate it. I kind of like it when people scream stuff out sometimes, but it's just that when their timing's bad, or if they're just disruptive, like I don't know. But I just find that the university audience is attentive. They're super into it, and you know, there's not like I don't have to do a ton of press to promote the show, which is great, you know, and there's always a ton of people there too. So it's like a big packed house, and
Yeah.
everybody's into it. So I love it.
That's fun. So what made you decide to do a comedy tour?
Well, you know, it was back in the summer of 2006. Somebody invited me to a comedy club in Los Angeles, and what they asked me to do was to get on stage and do something crazy during the show. And I agreed to go, but I didn't really give any thought to what I would do when I got there. And when I showed up, I looked around and I thought that I just thought the craziest thing I could possibly do on that stage would be to try stand-up comedy. You know, like it was absolutely terrifying. And I was just like, man, that's nuts. I'm scared. Like I'm doing it. You know. So I was waiting around for it to become my turn to get on stage, and I was just thinking of absurd stuff that I could say to try and get laughs. And when I got on stage, you know, I said crazy stuff, and people laughed, and I was pretty much hooked right away. I don't know if I was hooked right away, but I was determined right away to pursue that. And before I left the comedy club that night, I had already scheduled my next time that I was going to come back and do stand-up again. And I prepared for that one. I wrote out this big thing, and it went great. And then the third time, I was kind of overconfident, and I showed up, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll be cool. And I got on stage, and I totally bombed. And then I was like kind of nervous about it. And I bombed a couple times. And then like it's kind of stayed away from it a little bit. And ultimately, I knew I wanted to get back into it. What got me back into it was really getting clean and sober. You know, it's not a good idea for me to hang out in like nightclubs and bars and stuff. You know, like being in the environment where it's all about getting wasted. Right. Like I don't really want to be there, but it's perfectly appropriate for me to go catch a show at a comedy club. You know, so I just found myself going to comedy clubs more and more and more once I got sober, and when I was just being that close to it, I was just like, oh, I gotta do it. And then at one point, I met Dane Cook, and I told him like, I want to get like serious about stand-up comedy. And he's like, dude, I got you. Oh. So like, he gave me his phone number, and we set a time for me to do a show. And I read, you know, like he'd put me on stage over and over and over, like night after night, and then sit down with me after my set and give me notes, you know, which was really cool. Like Dane Cook like took me under his wing and stuff.
That's really fun. I would never be able to do that. But
it all happened so quick too, you know. Like it was a couple months before the Jackass 3D came out that I really, you know, a little over a month actually, that I started like getting up on stage like every night, you know, like or most nights, like really doing stand-up all the time. And then the actual day that Jackass 3D came out in theaters, I was on Howard Stern promoting it, and I was like, yo, Howard, I've been doing stand-up, man, like I'm hilarious, dude, you gotta get me a gig, you know, like I'm ready, dude. And as a result of me just saying that, the phone started ringing. You know, it was like people, like, this was October 15th of 2010. And like the phones started ringing like crazy. They want me here, they want me there, they want me there, and they're asking me to headline, you know, in comedy clubs all over. And at the time, I'm thinking like, shit, man, I got like 15 minutes of material, you know, and you know, like I mean, it was pretty good, but I really only had like 15 minutes, and everybody wanted me to headline, and it was scary, you know. But there's really like. There's no better way to get good at something than to just dive into it, you know? And from that point, like, when I started out headlining, you know, the tour really began just over a year ago now. And, you know, I didn't have that much material. Maybe I had 20 minutes, you know? But I would come out first at my shows, do like a few minutes, and then I would introduce like a comic, and then I'd come back. It was more like I was hosting than I was headlining, you know? And it was pretty wild. And then, you know, a few months into it, you know, I kept just accumulating material. And it wasn't like, oh, this is funny, let me write it. It was more like I would be like doing the show, and I would think of something just ridiculous that's happened to me, and I would just tell the story. And, you know, like, and then I get laughs, you know, and then I'm like, okay. And I've had a lot of crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of,
I've had a lot of wild stuff happen to me. So like, there's no need for me to really depart from my own personal experience and things that really have happened to me for finding material.
Speaking of experiences, what besides the comedy, what is like the most the craziest experience that you've had?
I mean, that's it's hard to really. I mean, there's just been a lot of crazy stuff. You know, it's hard to say like what's been crazier, my personal life or my professional life, but it's all been pretty wild, and I've been lucky to survive it all. Yeah.
Well, I know that we have more questions for you, and they're going to delve more into those, but I have to, unfortunately, end this conversation.
It's okay.
So, thank you.
You did very well.
Thank you.
What's up, everybody? I'm Steve-O, and you're watching WSRUTV.